Hello, welcome back to episode 4 of Good Grief. Literally.
Welcome back, man. Literally, welcome back. Oh my goodness, number 4. And like you said, welcome back. You were on vacation.
And so were you.
Yeah, I was, man.
Yeah.
It was great. But one thing I didn't miss is being able to tell you Happy Father's Day.
Amen. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to anyone else out there who's listening to this.
Definitely,
You'll
man.
listen to this 2 months after Father's Day because we're recording this. Yeah.
Or whenever we drop
It won't come out till July or something like that.
Or whenever Doug gives it to us.
Or Doug. Yeah. No, happy Father's Day. I think we were both away over Father's Day, which is it's always weird, right? Yeah. At least that's my first time being away on Father's Day, and it was a little weird. I was actually on a bachelor party, which was fun, but it was weird waking up and being like, none of these guys know it's Father's Day. Like they're all still no kids and stuff like that. But anyways, vacation, man. How was it? You have a good time?
Vacation was good, man. Gave me a chance to really unplug. Like, I think this may have been one of the first times that I totally unplugged. I didn't check an email. I didn't look at a service board. I didn't do anything. And in fact, even if I wanted to, I probably couldn't, because one of the locations I was at, I didn't have any service. So big shout out to my team. They held it down. I think that's commendable for the type of leadership, not to toot my own horn, but I think that's what we look for, right? Can things still operate when you're not there? And I have to say, things were busy, but things are still rolling. Things were smooth. Things got done.
That's interesting you say that. I guess now you say that I should give more credit to my team, because I came back on Tuesday and today we're recording this on a Thursday. And I kind of expected, all right, I'm going to walk in just like deep breath, going to walk into some stuff. And everyone was like, hey, good morning. How you doing? How was your vacation? I'm like, oh, it's fine. Thanks. Everything good? Oh yeah. Everything went smooth. Couple services. We're all good. I was like, okay. It was like a 15-minute debrief. And they're like, yeah, we had it. Everything was good. I was like, oh, okay. I guess
I'm starting to believe that you really believe this. Like you really, you got a really good head of hair. And people say you putting on your Clark Kent, like you really think you're Superman, like coming into the office saying, oh, I'm going to have to control this. Like you got a phenomenal team, man. That means you're a phenomenal leader,
Very fortunate to have the team that we have too. That they jump in, they want to work. We're slow right now. I know that's weird to say in the funeral business. If you're not part of the funeral business, we certainly don't hope that people reach their demise before they're supposed to.
Right.
But being slow, they're always ready to work. They have a hard time not doing stuff. And that, they're ready to like, hey, can I do something? Yeah, let's figure out something to do.
Figure out something, right? That's one of those fine balancing acts in the funeral home. What are we going to do? Is it everything slow? All right, we're going to clean up every closet. We're going to straighten up every piece of furniture, make sure all the chairs are lined in the chapel, going through every file. Did we, cross every T and dot every I? Did we do all those fine-tuned things? Those are the times we kind of go through that. And sometimes, or those are the saving graces that we find, the things that we missed. So I really value the downtime, as well as the times where we're just moving at a very, very high pace, because those high pace moments allow the weeks, the days to kind of go past. But those fine-tuned moments allow us to make sure that we're servicing at a high degree of excellence.
Yeah, you're right. And also funeral directors are a group of people too, where, like you said, if you're busy, you really have to categorize what you're going to focus on that day, the really important stuff. But there's something like clerical that you don't need to do. It's probably getting put on like the B list, and you're going to deal with that later, right? So it is good to have that time to catch up on those things, because they are important. I know I personally don't enjoy some of the things that go down to that B list, which is probably why they're being procrastinated anyways.
Are you procrastinating?
Not really. If I really don't want to do something, I'll put it off. But I was growing up into high school, into college, I would wait till like the last possible second. And then something happened in mortuary school, probably because I was a little bit older. And I realized like, oh, I really need to get my life together.
And kind of push forward.
Help provide for the family, etc. I was ahead on everything in mortuary school besides like once or twice from being sick.
Yeah.
It totally changed my, I don't feel good. Yeah. But no, it really was in mortuary school. But like turned my head around a little bit. Mortuary school is no joke.
No joke.
Yeah.
If I needed a vacation, it would have been in the mortuary. Like,
oh yeah.
People don't really realize, like when I was in mortuary school, one of my fraternity brothers was he was attending his medical degree down in Georgetown, and we would literally compare notes as to what he was learning in his doctoral block and what we were learning in. I went to Mercer there for mortuary science, and it would be the same exact thing. He's learning how to kind of keep things going. We're learning how to kind of unravel what they've done. And it's the same exact things, right? But our blocks or our learning segments are so compacted. It's ridiculous the amount of exams that we have, the amount of courses that we're taking, having to work a full-time job because you need to have income if you have a family or just by yourself. And not to mention, you have to do your state requirements. You have to have an internship or a residency during that time as well. Have a certain amount of embalmings, amount of what am I thinking of? Arrangement conferences and things of that nature.
Arrangement conferences,
like it's very intense and it's so fast. Like if you're not bought in, like you said, if you're not organized, you better get organized or you're going to fall off this wagon.
Oh yeah. And just for people listening who aren't familiar with mortuary school, in many states, it's pretty much you have to have your associate's degree, and then you go to at least 1 year of mortuary school. Sometimes it's more than that. Each state is a little different. Sometimes school do things a little different. Mine was I had my bachelor's degree, and then I went and right. Well, yeah. What do you have? You probably have like your doctorate degree, and then I did 1 year mortuary school, and you do some prerequisites before that. You do like an on death and dying class and a couple other things. And mortuary school is 1 year. And they just like max you out for a year. And I mean, it was the most intense thing I'd gone through school wise, to a point that in the first day of class, we had like 27, 26 students. And on like day 3, we had like 17. Like people, because they kept saying like, don't be in this class unless you can put this much time in. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But no, they were serious. Like, no, like you need to be studying every single night because this is going to fly by. And we need to get you ready to pass those boards, which are like going again. We need to take a national board and your respective state board. So if you want to get licensed in a certain state, you have to take that state's licensure exam. Sometimes states will honor different licensures or state licensures. Yeah, reciprocity. Thank you. But anyways, going back to vacation, don't worry, we're not going to make this about what did Bart and Alex-Michael do.
Unless you want us vacation to.
Time. Yeah, this is actually now called. Yeah. But one thing, I think we both had the same thought actually during vacation, because I think we both thought, hey, let's think about the podcast for some reason on vacation. And I, like you, I really disconnected. I was in a place that kind of forced me to be elsewhere, which I was glad to. I left my phone in my backpack most of the time. Great. But I woke up one morning, I was really thinking, I was like, really, I get to put all of my stresses and concerns, like they're back home. I'm a couple hundred miles away and they are not with me right now. Right. You had a similar feeling, not to put words in your mouth, but, then I thought, wow, like the people grieving just don't get that opportunity to take a trip away from those anxieties, right? Like we can take a vacation, get in the car, get out of town for a minute, whatever that is, if that's vacation or just a Saturday away. People grieving don't get that opportunity, man. It's with them all the time, whether on a cruise ship or at home.
Yeah,
it's
and
there.
This isn't about like our stress as a profession in comparison to a family's grief by any means, but more so about our ability to recharge and their ability to have to kind of stay in a moment, in a segment, in a box. There's no recharge, right? Unfortunately, grief doesn't care about our calendar. Like it's going to come when it's designated time to come. But like you were saying earlier, when we were talking about procrastination, some people choose to kind of deal with this at a later moment, and some are just happen to just go head in. There's really no right or wrong for it. But the thing is that there is a moment that we as professionals have to recharge. If not, then we are just toiling with no real substance, right? We're working, but we're being busy, but not being productive. That's the best way that I could kind of put that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like what you said, no right or wrong way to grieve, right? I mean, people, I was talking about this with someone earlier. Actually, I think it was Doug about coming up with questions for social media and stuff like that, talking about grief. And yeah, there's no right or wrong way to grieve. And we as for funeral directors need to be prepared for that. And that's one thing, dwelling on how we deal with people grieving and going through, especially the real initial phases of their grief, whether it doesn't have to be anger or depression, whatever people are dealing with at that moment. It's our job to keep our feet planted and our head on straight so that we can still talk to this person and maybe receive some criticisms or maybe even anger from these folks. It's not really shouldn't be directed at us, but it is. We can't lose sight of our goal that you need to provide a service for these people in the worst time of their life, And I've seen a lot of people who, the stress factor just goes so high when they deal with a family who is going through a hard time and they're maybe taking it out in the funeral director. We're not encouraging people to take it out in the funeral director.
But that is one of the things we're here for. We're almost like a barber. Like when you sit in yes, I know I don't have hair, but I do understand that.
I didn't even go there.
I knew you were. But it's when you're sitting in the barber chairs for the gentleman, it's almost as if that's a counseling session. Like I'm here for a particular reason to get groomed and things of that nature, but we're also talking about life events. We're talking about sports. We're talking about children and how we're raising them. We're talking about cultural dynamics and how the world is changing and all those things. The same thing kind of happens at the funeral home, where we're there to coordinate a life celebration or how we're going to complete a disposition in whatever particular manner. But at the same time, now we're kind of going into some other orbits, right? We're going into how are you really doing? Like, where are you at? And not necessarily where are you physically at, but where are you emotionally at right now? And I think that's a very strong point because while I was on vacation, I was able to be present right where I was. And like you said, I was able to leave work outside of my suitcase at the house. But when people are grieving, they don't have that luxury. Not at all. Like they're toting that in their brief. That's their carry
on. Yeah.
Right. And then how long do you have to carry on this way? How long do you have to carry that weight or do you have to stow it above you? At some point, procrastination isn't going to help. You're going to have to lay that suitcase open and kind of go through those things, those materials that you have there. They say, this is now useful. This is not. And this is what I'm going to have to put on for this particular time because this is the grieving process that I'm in right now. And there's no right or wrong of when to do
exactly. That. Actually, I was reading such a funeral director thing to say. I was reading a little bit of Kubler Ross on vacation.
Oh yeah, that's
right. When you read something fun like Lord of the Rings or something like that. Like now I was reading about the stages of death the stages of grieving on when I was on vacation. Of course, as a typical funeral director, I'm reading a Kubler Ross book, and for those who don't know, she's the one who created the concept behind the stages of grief, right? Anger, depression, so forth. And I'm glad I revisited it because I haven't read it in a while since Mortuary school. And I actually still didn't get through the whole thing, but just talking about giving people space to feel what they feel. And we want to help people move through their grief, but you can't force people through it, right?
Ooh.
Right? And especially as funeral directors, right? Like we'll probably help you get through a portion of it, but realistically, you're probably going to be in like shock by the time that you're talking to us until the end of it. And you're really going to feel it like 2 days, 3 days later after the service is done, or after everything's concluded. That's when it's just going to drop like a hammer many days. Because we have families that come back in, we're revisiting, giving them some service items and things like that.
Yes.
And they're like, man, I got through it because I had this kept me busy. The funeral kept me busy, but now I just feel I'm tired and I'm sad,
Yeah. Right. What do you do? Like, I think it comes to that point of what do they do when it gets silent? When grief gets silent, what do you do? You said one amazing thing. You said you can't rush people through it. It's kind of like when I was sitting on the plane and I'm one of those people, when the plane stops, we pull up to the jet bridge. I sit there in my seat and I wait my turn, for it. But there's persons who, as soon as that buckle seatbelt light goes off, bong, they hop up and they grab the overhead cabin flies open, they grab their stuff and they're standing there. You jump up, grab your things to go nowhere because there's people ahead of you that still needs to travel. the same thing in this grief process, that there's things that need to go in place, and you can't rush this process. You may want to, I don't want to feel angry today. I don't want to feel mad. I don't want to feel as if I lost my keys and I can't find them. I don't want to feel as if my mom is here and she's not. I pick up the phone to call her and she doesn't answer. And there's no way to not go through that. You are going to have to systematically put these things in place, and you're not going to do them. Life is going to order these things for you.
Yeah. And to further
I mean?
that analogy, you can't take the emergency exit.
Woo!
That's bad. No, seriously,
dude.
in real life and on the plane, right? Yeah, you can't just be, well, I'm going to cut through these.
Yes.
Yeah, now you're in big trouble.
No.
But yeah, doing that in your personal life, whether you're seeking out maybe bad, some substance abuse or something like that, it's not gonna get you through.
It's not gonna help. It's not gonna get you through any quicker. Like they say again on the plane, there's no smoking in this vessel. Some things you're just gonna have to face reality. Try to stop. But some things you're just gonna have to face. There is Kubler Ross says there is a reality. There's a realization moment where this thing's gonna hit hard. Like this plane has to land. And it's going to have to land on something that's firm. And oftentimes, the reason why funeral directors have to catch so much brunt of person's projections is because we're the only solid thing that they have been around for days. So if something's going to land on it, I'm going to land on Alex-Michael because for some reason, I know he can take it. I can't verbalize that. I don't have the language to actually say this. But something's telling me that emotionally, I just have to dump on him, and it's not right. But he's the pillar right now that needs to hold this bridge up for me to get to the other side.
I find that when there's more, at least to my untrained eye, issues with the family, if I see maybe there's a little bit of issues there, I find then I get more stuff directed at me because they're trying not to bite at each other. They're trying not to get upset with each other, but there's something that's going wrong and they're very sensitive. Like, those, what I'm talking about, like those families that just, you can't move half an inch without, well, that's not what we talked about. Hold on. Like, why are you, So in those moments, I find, people are quick to be like, hey, I'm going to correct you right now. And this is something that you need to deal with, aka family to funeral director. Mm-hmm. And opposed to doing it with their family because, they don't want to just blow up at each other, right? But there's anger there. Right. It's got to go somewhere. And it comes
got to go somewhere.
A lot of time.
Pressure breaks pipe.
Yeah.
Like you said, it has to go somewhere. Similarly, like if you're on vacation, I think just about every vacation I've gone on, like there's one couple that you just see like, oh man, you could just tell that the wife or the husband, there is something mixing up right there. Like it's some dynamic in that mix. The same thing happens with family dynamics. Like you were saying, like there's going to be that twist in that churning of that bucket that sometimes it won't come out right. But it doesn't mean that it's wrong.
No, Kubler Ross talks about that. There's no wrong way to go through it. And like I said, you can't push people through it. You also can't assume that what you're doing as a friend or funeral director is going to immediately help. So don't be discouraged. What you're doing is probably the right thing, whether it's as a funeral director or as a friend, family member, right? Keep trying.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you need to do and just hold firm on it. Be consistent. I know you're big on consistency. Yeah,
I'm huge on
don't give them everything and then pull away because right. So go until especially funeral directors be as quick to respond to the family on the first day as you are on the day after the service.
Right. Because they're leaning on you. Like you're literally their leaning post when their building and their structure has fallen apart or about to fall apart. They're waiting on you to lean them back up and at least keep them stable, even if it's a temporary brace, to keep them stable until they can kind of get the workers in there to kind of get themselves back together. How have you witnessing person's grief allowed you to manage your own life?
Oh, interesting. Watching how people, like, how do I take that, watching them grieve and stuff, how do I bring that into my life for benefit or like grieving through stuff that I've done?
For benefit. But I think grieving is benefit.
I mean, so my dad died 2022, right before my daughter died. And then his wife died. My stepmom 6 weeks later. It was just like a weird event.
I remember that.
And then my daughter was born like 2 weeks later. So I wrestled with these two people that I adored and loved, and they passed away, and then
Mhm.
premature, like too early, to be honest with you. And then my daughter was born.
Yeah.
So looking back, I mean, I knew, only thing I could say that would help me is just know, like, I have no idea when this is going to hit me and if it ever will, or what the case. But I just know that I have to
Mhm.
be aware of it, and just let myself go through it. So
Yeah.
and unfortunately, I didn't go through like crazy stages of grief. I really didn't go through them. This goes into much deeper conversation, but I think it was just allowing myself to know, like, something's going to happen. I'm not going to feel good at some point. But I was also the funeral
Mhm.
director for both of them, so I had to kind of shut
Mhm.
down a little bit and get through
Yeah.
the initial part of it. Side story, just about that, when my stepmom passed away, and I hope my wife doesn't mind me telling the story, but we're at her funeral, and this great pastor came, led the service. She says, "Does anyone want to get up and share a little bit about Judith?" And a couple
Mhm.
people got up, said some really great stories about her. I was silent for a second, like, anybody else? And my wife, who is 8 months pregnant, stands up and delivers this just amazing eulogy, for lack of a better word, about my
Mhm.
stepmom. And guess who's up next to give the closing, hey, we're all going to head to lunch and like, this is the end of it? This guy. I was a
Suspenders.
mess. Like, I rarely do I cry, but I got up there and I couldn't even, to a point where actually I tried to say something like thank you all for coming, join us for lunch here. I could just hear someone in the back just lean over and say, what did he say? It's just, I couldn't get it out. So I had to get someone else to come in and do it. But it hit me right there. Say my wife and all, and my dad had just died. My stepmom had died,
Yeah.
and she's there
Yeah.
8 months pregnant with our first kid. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, so I always
Yeah.
hold that against her a little bit. I'm like, remember that time that you totally, yeah. But nothing prepared me for it. No.
No. How could it? Right. Again, you don't get to choose when. You just have to allow life to place that particular block in that peg when it's time and in the manner in which it
Yep.
comes. And you have to accept that right
Yeah.
at that moment. Like yours came in front of other folks. But at the same time, I think that's such a poetic moment. Like oftentimes people think that funeral directors are these non-emotional, disconnected folks where, oh, you guys deal with this all the time. It's nothing for you. No, that's not it at all. We are very connected. We are very emotional. And oftentimes it's we have to kind of walk out the room to kind of gather
Oh, yeah.
ourselves because there was a moment there where I thought of my dad, or I thought of
Yeah.
my mom, or my sister or brother. Like, and I gotta pull back because again, I need to be that sturdy place
Mhm.
for you. But at the same time, we're still
Oh, yeah.
human, right? And I think that's what this conversation is. It's finding that humanistic element between servitude and being able to kind of pull back from that professionalism, but at the same time, understanding that grief has no
Yeah.
break.
I do think too, though, is that, I'm speaking for myself, being around it a lot has created a little bit of numbness on the outside to hearing like devastating news about someone passing, because we hear it all the time. Try
Yes.
not to. It's not like I don't have feelings when someone tells me that someone
Mhm.
passed away. Of course I do. But because we hear that all the time, I do have to kind of allow myself to get past that. Like, okay, oh, okay. Now I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Does that happen for you?
Yes. It's because it's because I have on that Clark Kent. Because when I hear it, it's now my service bell goes off. Like now it's time to put on your cape and it's time to serve. It's time to be strong. It's time to be able to take those, like Superman could take shots. Like he was able to, ward off any type of, ammunition or anything like that. I'm gonna have to ward off some verbal ammunition, some projection that's not meant for me, because I'm over here trying to shield a lady or hold up a car that's about to fall or run over to catch the falling train that from the bridge that's broken. Now that that bell is ringing, I have to put on my cape. So it's not that I am desensitized. It's just that I'm flowing into a different vein, kind of like Kobe Bryant, right? Where he's Kobe, but then when he puts on a uniform, he goes into this Mamba experience, right? It's I'm still me, but now there's this super person in me, right? And it really is that. There's a calling for this. And some people call it calling, some people call it assignment. I call it grace because there is a huge level of burden that we have to carry for this great
When you
assignment.
get those calls from
right?
family and friends about people passing, because let's be real, we get them. Do you? One of my first like 5 thoughts is like, I'm like, oh, geez, they passed. That stinks. How's so and so? Then I kind of go into like, am I going to be the funeral director for this? Like, do you jump to there pretty quickly?
Yeah, I do. Or if not, I'm thinking, how can I fix this?
I want to be like, I want
Again, it's my
Yeah.
Superman. Yeah, I want to help.
Yeah.
How can I fix this
Yeah.
for you? You know, I know what to do, right? It's almost like if I was a doctor, I mean, I'm not sure if you know this. Funeral directors are doctors. We're kind of the same. But it would be as if there was a trauma patient, if I was a doctor or surgeon, I'm trying to jump in now. The same thing, right? There is a trauma situation going on, and I'm a doctor in this instance, and I want to jump in now, right? But it's when those moments where it's like, I know this person, and no, I can't put on my cape right now. I got to step out the phone booth and just wear my suit.
Yeah.
I can't put on my cape. And it's then those moments now that shade now has to lift up, and that vulnerability now gets exposed. Right. So I think that's how I kind of handle it. And I think that's how most of us handle it. I don't think a lot of us often really give time to put language to how we feel, to really kind of anchor the room or the environment as to like, what do you feel in this moment? Again, when I was on vacation, I took some time to unplug so I can feel what I felt in this moment. Right. I don't want to have to juggle 5 things. I don't want to have to multitask. Right now, I just want to be present. Right. And I think that's what we have to do in those grieving times, is to say, I don't want to have to think about, all the minutia and all those dynamics. I just want to be able to say goodbye. And right. And not just goodbye to them, but goodbye to any resentment that I'm holding, goodbye to any pain that I may be dealing with, goodbye to any burden that I might be carrying for no.
When you get that phone call
reason
from family member, friend, and or someone at the office, a typical first call comes in, which is someone notifying us of passing. Do you get a sense of, I get a little bit of sense of pride and not excitement. That sounds a little bit weird, but when someone says like, so-and-so just passed away, I have no idea what to do. And that to me, it's not that it makes me happy, but it makes me think, yes, because I feel confident that I'm going to get you through this just as good as the next best funeral director or whatever, anyone else. And I always think, because we get a lot of people who call who are very confused, right? I just talked to another place and they're telling me I need to do this and this. And it's like, oh, wait, it told you what? You shouldn't even be having these conversations. Like you're just dealing with your mom dying, what your dad dying. Like, let me tell you, this is how things should go. And this is what we do, because this is how things should go. And I find when we get those phone calls, that to me, that's like, this is great because you're going through a terrible situation, but you're going to have a good experience. I'm going to make sure you're going to have a good experience, because those people that call with the questions that are concerned because they talked to someone else, now you're just trying to prove yourself to them the whole time and trying to fix whatever pre-existing notion they had about funeral directors, funeral homes, because we're all not bad guys. Most of us are really good people. We want to help out, get some odd ones here and there, just like anything else though, right?
Yeah, you do. I get this sense of pride. My funeral directors at my lamb location, my main location, they find it comical, like when there's a problem or if there is a family I'm meeting with that particular day, I think they almost kind of wait at the side of their desk and kind of look over, because their offices kind of look at my door, and they just wait for me to do it. And they're like, "Oh, you're going to do it?" I'm like, "Do what?" So I put on my suit jacket, and I kind of, as soon as I step out, I didn't know I was doing it, but I verbally say, tug on my lapel, make sure I look straight. Let's get it. And it's kind of like, that's the switch.
I'm so glad that you just told that little, not story, but that tidbit, because one thing that we ended with last time was talking about something that stuck with us throughout our career, right? And you were talking about giving someone, a family, the opportunity to view their loved one. That was just, that's made you want to earn every time, like more, or not earn, but be able to do better every time. You proved to yourself you could do it. And you just talked about there, like volunteering to go out and meet a family. Ding dong. And for some reason, when the phone rings or the doorbell rings, sometimes funeral directors just kind of like sink in there. They're like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom all of a sudden. Right. And we had a call a couple years ago, and I'm going to keep the name, place, dates all out of it because there's some kind of a disclaimer to this. This is kind of a tough situation I dealt with some years ago, but it stuck with me. So I wanted to answer the question from last episode. I was working at a funeral home, got a call from a funeral home in another state, had a really difficult situation that they need to involve us with because the person would eventually be buried near the funeral home that I was working. Turns out it was a young person who was overseas, got caught in some sort of fire with fireworks. Young person, very just awful. And so as we collected more information from this funeral home that had called a number of times, everyone started to recognize that the area code and the name on the caller ID was from this funeral that was coming our way. Everyone started to know about it. Well, when the day came for us to really make a decision, well, I was sitting in the office and for some reason the phone rang and I look up and like people just sort of moved away. I just didn't want to deal with it. And I get it, but I just sat there and I was like, okay, this is going to suck, but it's going to suck a lot more for these people. And I just have to like, just put on my big boy pants and answer the phone and get these people through it. And it was one of those moments where I realized those tough situations, even though you really sometimes you just want to run away, right? Like you just like let someone else deal with that. It's okay to just sit there and be the one that talks to that family because probably you're probably the right person if you're that concerned about it, right? You know, and that's what I felt. I wanted to get up and run, but I knew I'm going to care enough to do this for these people. So, I mean, my heart was beating. It was an awful situation with the young girl that was injured out of country and then passed away after they gave her emergency airplane out of the country back to the USA. She ended up passing here. So, and giving those people the room to do what they needed to do. You know, we were talking about the length of arrangement conferences. I think I'm usually a little bit longer than yours are. I mean, they walked in and I was there for 10 minutes. So you just tell me what you want to do, and we'll do it, and we'll figure it out. And they were like, okay. They all kind of like sunk their shoulders down. They're like, we didn't want to be here. We don't want to be here. We don't want to be here any longer than we have to be. Yeah, I get it. So just assign someone to talk to me over the next couple of days. And they were like, okay. And I mean, it sucked. There were moments where I had to walk away because it was just an awful situation. And it sticks with me every time that if there's a family that's a difficult one and you don't want to deal with it, you're probably the one to do it.
That's yours.
You know, because you don't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
But those people need your help, you know?
Yeah. My uncle always told me, it's only when it pulls at your heartstrings when you know you're doing the gig right. Yeah. Those are the times, man. You know, I think we touched on a lot here today, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could vacate this space without saying, dude, everyone needs a time of reflection and recharge, but also be sensitive to know that not everybody gets that ability to do that. You know, and I think it's extremely important for us as professionals to know that, but I think it's important for families and those who are going through this process, the ability to know that it's okay just being okay.
Yeah. And a reminder for our funeral directors listening is that, you know, every time you talk to a family that's really draining you, they are drained.
They are drained.
It's not that they're trying to drain you. They're exhausted and they're grieving. Yeah. So as frustrating as it can be, whether it's someone who's difficult or they're just so sad that it's hard to be around because that happens, right? Just keep being you, be confident. Yeah. That's the big thing. Do the right thing by them and try not to get upset, right? Everyone's got a threshold, but ours has to
be a little bigger. Yeah. We got to be that firm foundation for people who are just leaning a little bit one way or the other. You have to be that port of sensibility. Alex-Michael, man, I appreciate you once more, man.
Amen.
Once more, you know, while death may be the topic of our discussion, life is always at the heart of our reason. So,
Yeah.
until next time, good grief. Thank you all for joining us. Until next time, good grief.
Take care.